A very good afternoon, everyone. We are going to start our session now.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
So on behalf of Institution Innovation Council, that is IIC, at Symbiosis Center for Distance Learning, I, Dr. Sunita Nikam, extend a warm welcome to all participants joining us today for this exciting workshop on Blueprint to Success, that is for process design and development for startups. Today's session aims to provide you with a comprehensive understanding of principles and practices involved in designing and development prototypes. These skills are essential for any startup and entrepreneurial venture. Throughout this session, you will gain practical insights and hands-on experience that will help you to navigate the challenges and bringing your innovative ideas to our life. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker for today's session, that is Professor Ashutosh Pawate. Ashutosh is an accomplished business strategist, collaborator, academician, mentor, management consultant. He holds the distinction of being one of the youngest certified independent directors by the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. Additionally, he is registered mentor with Startup India. Professor Ashutosh is currently associated with Symbiosis Skills and Professional University as a senior manager at Atal Community Innovation Center. Recognized for his expertise and talent from an early age, Professor Ashutosh has mentored and judged numerous esteemed national level competitions and events focused on business model development, startup growth, entrepreneurship. Prestigious institutions such as IIT Mumbai, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Chennai, VJIT, Nirma University, MIT WPU, and IGI have provided him platform to showcase his unique abilities as an academician, educator, and communicator. As an end-to-end business and startup strategies, Ashutosh specialized in establishing strategic alliances, fostering cohesive commercial and business relationships, building efficient management teams, curating exciting product portfolios, and developing effective branding strategies. He is also skilled in business finance and merger and acquisition, advisory services. With a global network of over 200 venture capitalists, private equity investors, high net worth individuals, and institutional investor, Professor Ashutosh consistently drives operational efficiency, optimize business processes, enhance accessibility, and provide distinguished funding options to startup and businesses. With exceptional expertise in setting up startup incubation and accelerators, Professor Ashutosh fully leveraged his strategic and comprehensive approaches. His core values of innovation, creation, and networking enables him to deliver outstanding outcomes. He firmly believes in saying that we miss 100% of chances we don't take, encouraging calculated yet impactful risk, embarking on ventures, and embracing opportunities to live a meaningful life. We welcome you, Professor Ashutosh. Now the virtual podium is yours. I'll just make you the host so that you can share your screen, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Audible.
Thank you so much, Sanita ma'am, for this wonderful introduction. This longer introduction was really not needed, but yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here as well, Sunita ma'am and the team SCDL. So I can see around 56 students. I mean the total number of participants here. Can we have you guys on the camera for a couple of minutes, and then once my presentation starts, we'll ask you to shut down the cameras. Just for a couple of minutes. Everyone on the cameras, please.
Sorry, sir. Actually, I'm in the office, so I can't open my.
Yeah, no worries. People who are busy with something, that's okay. But otherwise, yeah, that's just for my knowledge that I would love to see the faces. Okay, that's nice. Thank you all. Thank you for joining. I guess you all are joining from various parts of the I mean, India for that matter. Okay, well, so I'm always accessible through SSPU and through LinkedIn as well. So in case of any queries regarding the topic now that I'll be presenting in front of you, you can always connect with me or any of the things, right? Well, thank you so much. You all can now turn off your cameras. I'll be sharing my screen and we'll go ahead with the presentation. But yeah, if possible, I'd like to be, I would like to have this session as an interactive session. So if I ask some questions and if someone has that answer, I would love any of you answering to that questions, right? Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sorry, sir, I can't open my camera now. I don't know why it is not working from my phone.
No worries, ma'am.
It is
That's really okay. I'll be sharing my screen now anyways, so we'll get to see the material. All right. Is my screen visible now?
yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So the topic that we are going to discuss here today, and I'll be giving you a deeper insights, couple of deeper insights. Most of this information is already available on the internet through various research papers, various books, and various authors who have been constantly writing the blogs, writing the articles, and many things for that matter. But yet, I have tried getting best of the things for you all. So the topic goes as prototype and process designing and the development. We are going to talk about both the parts. That's basically for mastering the innovation and efficiency, right? So whenever we talk about setting up any process or developing something, right? To the basics of it, it goes is the prototype and the designing, the process designing part of it, right? So whenever we think of developing something, the first thing comes to our mind is we should have enough of information to build on those processes and prototype over it, right? What do we call that process of gathering all the information and knowing something or getting knowledge about something? What do we call that process? Can anyone tell me? Anyone?
Collection of information.
Collection of information, correct. Any scientific or technical word for it?
Research.
Requirement gathering.
Shruti, Madhu, yeah, you were correct. That's called research, right? So to the base of anything that we develop, anything that we think, anything that we try developing, the base is the research, right? Whether that's through any mode that is available to you, but research is the core activity to anything that we do in our lives, right? If we are not knowledgeable enough to respond to something, right? We don't respond, right? We keep mum. But then if you have that knowledge, you have that knowledge because you have researched it somewhere, you have seen it somewhere, you have experienced it somewhere. And that is where everything starts, right? The prototype development, process designing, every single thing starts with the research. All right. Let me take you to the outline of the session, right? First, we'll be having the introduction and overview of how the prototype and process designing looks like, what are the definitions, and what is the importance of it. Then we go to the types of prototypes and processes which are there. That's more or less going to be a non-technical kind of a part that I'll be focusing on. A couple of technical things will be there. Stages of prototype development, which we'll be discussing. We'll be also discussing the understanding and the process designing, how it is exactly to be taken off when you're taking particular project related to administration, related to some product development or related to app development. You should always know how the process goes like, right? Then most importantly, why, what, how, and when of the process designing or a prototype designing and development, right? We always keep on asking ourselves all these questions: why, what, how, when. If you are not asking, please start asking them right this moment onwards. Well, next is the entrepreneurship processes and prototypes. I think we all are here to understand the scope of prototype and process designing in a wide startup ecosystem that we already have, right? So that is somewhat related to the entrepreneurship aspect as well, and that's why I've taken it here. So we'll be going through a couple of case studies and examples as well, which are there. Examples of failure and examples of being successful, right? Both the things we'll be discussing. We have some success stories as well. Then we have the question and answer session. Then we'll be having the solutions and best practices for all these parameters which we're going to discuss, and then we'll conclude the session, right? It will be roughly of around 1 hour, 1 hour, 10 minutes kind of a session that I have designed. If that gets prolonged, yeah, we can always discuss some more important and interesting things as well. Well, so now exploring the interconnected worlds of prototype designing and process designing, right? Here are two basic categories: processes and the prototypes, right? both follow each other. It's not something like prototype is altogether different and processes are altogether different, right? They follow each other in some or the other manner in the technical or in the non-technical way, right? So prototype design, what are the basic aspects? It basically is visualizing and redefining the bold ideas, right? Why the specifically mentioned as bold ideas, right? You can think of building prototypes for something which you are confident on, राइट कोई एक छोटी सी चीज आपको बता दी कि आपको इस पर्टिकुलर सपोज अ यूएसबी फैन जो आज की तारीख में बहुत ट्रेंडिंग हो रहा है हीट वेव्स में कि you just have a USB pin which you plug it to the laptops, you plug it to the mobile, right? And the fan starts. It's just a smaller fan, but it still gives you somewhat relaxed, right? It gives you that feeling of getting relaxed. So refining the bold ideas. So that is an idea which was sometime back a raw idea, but someone tried something on that, and that's what it got commercialized, right? So he visualized something, right? He or she visualized something, he defined it, and then he made something out of it, and then he refined it, right? So visualizing, defining, preparing it, developing it, refining it, and launching it, right? So this complete process is called prototyping, right? Iterative development for the perfection, right? We already have something with us, but we still want it to be perfect, even perfect, right? How do we do that? I have this mobile, it has 50 MP camera, right? We look for 108 MP camera, we look for 200 MP camera. How do we do that development, right? That is through the processes, that is through the prototyping, right? So iterative development for the perfection. It should be loud, whatever things you're doing for this development kind of a perfection, right? What are the benefits of prototype designing, right? One is innovation. You get to learn something new, you work on something new, you add value to something which is already there, or you create a value, right? Next comes the risk mitigation. Is my screen still visible?
Yeah.
Okay,
No, sir.
just a second.
No, sir.
Yeah. Host disable participant screen sharing. Okay, but I'm the host now.
Sir, you can share.
Yeah, just a second. I'm good.
Pritha, can you please mute yourself? Pritha Das.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it visible again?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Perfect. All right. So while developing any prototype or developing any design for the prototype, what we get to learn is the innovation instinct, right? Whatever new is coming across your way, you think of it, you try building it, you put all your efforts into it, all your expertise into it, and that gives you some amazing output at the end of the day, right? And that is what is innovation all about. Next is the risk mitigation, right? While developing all those prototypes, you start assuming things to yourself. If I would have been in that particular zone, what would I have done, right? अगर ये idea successful नहीं होता है, तो what would I do? अगर ये successful होता है, तो what are the next possibilities which I'm going to face, right? We think of all these things, and that is where the risk mitigation comes in place. And third is the stakeholder engagement, right? Whoever are the parts attached to development of the prototype or a process designing for that matter, we should think of all of them while giving it a chance, right? Next, we talk about the process design. Process is what it basically choreographs the efficient workflows, right? What is choreographing? Everyone must be knowing it, right? You design the steps, whether those are for the dance, whether those are for any particular process to be carried out, anything else in your life for that matter, right? You design something that the flow will go like this, whether top to bottom or bottoms up, something, whichever the way possible, right? But you design something, and that's where choreographing the efficient workflows. So whichever the thing you're designing makes you efficient or makes the product or the prototype efficient, right? That is the process designing main content that we can see, right? Optimizing performance and execution. Now, optimization of the performance, that is not just in the technical way, but in the non-technical way, in the administrative way as well, right? The benefits of the process design, they are mostly enhanced quality, streamlined operations, and consistent outcomes. And one of the major benefit is the processes are smoothened, right? So we should always look at solving the complexities but at the same time, we should be looking at the simplicity of the processes to be followed as well, right? So what is the holistic approach to all these things is, prototypes usually spark innovation, right? And processes drive productivity, and together they fuel the progress and ensure success, right? Both go together, as I already told, both go hand in hand, and that is where the innovation and value creation and the creativity comes in place, right? Okay, we go to the next, the definition and the importance, right? So the definition of a prototype, very generic kind of a definition. I have nothing put anything scientific technical into it. A prototype is an early sample, model, or a release of a product built to test a concept or a process, right? So can someone please let me know, looking at this definition, that is it's an early sample, model, or release of a product to build to test the concept or
Excuse
a
me.
process.
Sir, can you please show the previous slide once more, like if possible?
Yeah, here it is.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption.
Yeah, thank you. So can anyone let me know very trending kind of a thing that we usually access through the mobile, and lots of applications we download, but sometimes Google Play asks you to register for something. Early sample, model, or a release, or a product built to test a concept. What is the early version of the application called? What do we call it?
So it's called the beta
Beta or
version.
alpha?
Beta.
Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Wonderful. So all these beta versions are nothing but the prototypes, right? And beta versions are not only at the launching stage of an application, but once the application or the prototype or the actual product is launched, we can still have the beta versions. And how are they? Right? We introduce some new features to it. We test them, right? What testing ka jo phase hota hai, that again is called beta. So that's again is a prototyping kind of a thing, right? What is the importance? Jaisa maine kaha, it's visualizing and testing ideas before full scale production, right? गूगल प्ले स्टोर पे एप्लीकेशन लाने से पहले बीटा टेस्टिंग में करता हूं. बीटा टेस्टिंग कैन बी डन इन मल्टीपल वेज, राइट? मैं लोगों से इंडिपेंडेंटली जाके मेरे वेबसाइट के थ्रू मैं लोगों को एप्लीकेशन डाउनलोड करने के लिए बोलूंगा, उनको टेस्टिंग करूंगा, या फिर मैं गूगल प्ले पे लॉन्च करके उनको बीटा टेस्टिंग का वर्जन बता दूंगा और उसके थ्रू मैं टेस्ट करूंगा. देयर आर मल्टीपल वेज टू डू इट, राइट? बट getting people engaged and getting their first hand feedbacks on the model that you have developed or on the process that you have developed before you go and commercialize it is what called the prototyping, right? You consider both the pros and cons of anything that you are doing here by directly approaching to the people, directly approaching to the audience or to the customers or to the consumers, right? It saves time and resources by identifying issues early, right? So early detection in kind of prototypes is one of its major key factors for the success of it, right? I'll explain more on this in the upcoming slides. So what are the types of prototypes that we have? One are physical prototypes, one are digital ones, third are low fidelity, and fourth are high fidelity, right? What do you mean by fidelity, low fidelity, or high fidelity? Anyone? That's kind of...
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, low fidelity designs are those which will make a wireframe and all, which are created with lines, shapes, and all, without any visuals and color combinations.
Perfect. And exactly opposite of the it is high fidelity, right? Low fidelity is kind of a lowered prototype kind of a version, right? Maybe alpha version, not the beta version. And high fidelity is the beta version, right? All right, we go to the next definition. Process. All right. So process designing is planning and structuring business processes to achieve efficiency and effectiveness, right? How do we measure this efficiency and effectiveness in any business, for that matter, for the process that we have designed? And why is it like only process designing can take us to the efficient and effective business operations carrying? Why is it so? Anyone?
Can you please repeat the question again?
Yeah. So process design is a planning and structuring business processes to achieve efficiency and effectiveness. How the process designing is directly related to the efficiency and effectiveness of any business? Any example?
It's like kind of brainstorming the idea,
Yeah, it is correct.
flashing out, and then seeing whether the practicality or viability or feasibility of the
Absolutely.
project is really achievable.
100%. 100%. Any other outcome on this? Any other input on this?
Synchronizing the required steps, identifying them, and actually putting up a plan by brainstorming those can, like, it is the requirement of the efficiency. That might be an example.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else? That's beautiful. I'm loving those responses. We need to keep this interactive since it's already 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m. almost, and hot scotching things around. So we should keep it interactive. Yeah. Any other input on this? Why it's directly related to the efficiency and effectiveness of the business?
Hello.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. So actually, we work on the functionalities and the technicalities before it goes live. So it is like working on the steps and then going towards the that end process, so that we will have a complete understanding of the idea what we are going to put it.
Perfect. Absolutely correct. So all these three definitions combined together, they pretty much define how the process design is directly related to the efficiency and the effectiveness of the business, right? Every single thing that we consider, the stakeholders of these processes, every single step that we define, the stakeholders around it, the parameters which we discuss around it, have equal. I mean, they all have equal importance, right? None is smaller, none is bigger. Each one is just perfect at their own places, and that's how the process is built. It starts right from the 0 and goes to the 100, right? Okay, so what is the importance of setting up the processes? It helps streamlining the operations, it reduces the costs and improves the quality, right? Prototype is the ultimate version of all these processes that are followed, right? And the ultimate product also, after prototype, they have separate set of processes designed for them altogether, right? When we go to the key elements of process designing, right, all the three definitions that we just had from the audience, very first comes as analysis, right? Understanding the current processes and identifying areas for improvement, right? Every single thing that we are doing is not the final call for anything, right? There is always something to it, maybe 0.1%, 0.2%, 50%, 100%. There is always something more to it, right? We always should keep looking for that more part of it, right? Not all the knowledge in the world is possessed by us, right? I am a person who can probably take a business, say, up to the turnover of 5 or 7 crores. But beyond that, people who are more experienced than me, it becomes their responsibility, or I should give them the credit to take those businesses ahead, right? And that the similar case is there with the process designing. At every stage of process designing, you will require different kind of expertise, right? So for that, you need to have that analysis done, that what are where are you currently, and to what extent you plan your prototyping or process designing going, right? Next comes is designing, creating a detailed plan for the new or improved processes, right? You just take a whiteboard in front of you, start writing the things right from 0 to 100. This is how it is going, and I mean, this is how it was, this is how it is going, and this is how it will be going, right? That roadmap will be the complete design flow of the process. Third is the implementation, putting the design processes into the action, right? And fourth is the optimization, continuously monitoring and improving the processes. Very simple, basic definitions. Well, let's go to the stages of the prototype development. First comes is the conceptualization, right? Lot many methods for conceptualization. Any process or any given prototype are there, right? They vary from industry to industry, segment to segment. Education wise, education segment, they are different. Automotive segment, they are different. Manufacturing segment, they are different. Trading, they are different. Some other cultures, they're altogether different, right? So methods like mind mapping, scamper is what? Substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, and reverse, right? There are multiple definitions to scamper as well, but these are the most commonly used techniques for conceptualizing anything, right? I'll be going to the examples, some amazing examples from the industry in my later slides, where we'll be seeing all these things, how founders conceptualize something and how they came up with the amazing products or amazing services which are currently there in the market, right? The second stage of the prototype development is design and planning, right? What is to the core of developing any product or any service, for that matter? Can anyone please let me know what is to the core?
Is
So-
user experience.
Yeah, to be specific, it's the user and not the user experience, right? Ultimately, if I'm building something, I'm building it for the consumer, the end consumer whom I'm talking about, right? So what is the best thing that you can do while developing the prototype, designing and planning? Put yourself into the shoes of the consumer for the product or service that you are developing, and then start building the reverse integration process or the reverse expectations process, right? So if this is the notebook that I have, this is the diary that I have, right? And I am building this diary in some different kind of way, some different kind of material, right? How would my end consumer would love having it, right? And that will give you lots of answers in return, that okay, I was thinking of going in this way, but now I should go in this way, right? And that is where your mind mapping and the scamper techniques also come into place. Very, very, very basic things, right? You ask yourself some questions, going into the shoes of a consumer, that if I would have been the consumer, what things I would have been expecting, right? So second, the designing planning, it all focuses on the user experience and the interface layout, right? मैं अगर कुछ चीज बना रहा हूँ, ये लैपटॉप का स्क्रीन है, मुझे 15 इंच चाहिए, 14 इंच चाहिए, 18 इंच चाहिए, इसका डिजाइनिंग, इसका स्क्रीन मुझे एलईडी चाहिए या फिर एलसीडी चाहिए, आईपीएस चाहिए, that's all up to my choices. I have range of varieties available in the market, right? I can one of any of those. Third comes is building and tasting. Build, taste, and refine the prototype based on the feedback. Engage users early to validate the design, right? That's what we talk about, the alpha, beta, and gamma versions of any application or any product for that matter that we are developing. We build them, we go to the market, we test them, we make some changes, and then we go for the final commercialization of it, right? These are the three key stages in the prototype development. Yeah, so what are the real world examples that we look at? Prototyping in the automotive industry, Tesla, right? Most successful automotive brand in the world as on date. How the Tesla uses all its workforce, all its design elements, all its expertise in building the rapid prototype models, right? What are the rapid prototyping models? Can anyone let me know? Rapid prototyping models. Anyone knows? Anyone? So rapid prototyping to design and test new car models. Prototypes which are probably someone who has never thought of building those prototypes, but they are yet accessible by some such technology which we are utilizing here, right? And we are immediately getting them available into the market for the people who wish to taste them, right? Rapid prototyping is one of the major factors due to which all these industries define their growth rate or success rate, for that matter, right? How faster we can go into the market and how faster we can get the things done in the most innovative and most creative way, right? That's the success of rapid prototyping. Second is they iterate quickly using both physical and digital prototypes to refine the designs, right? Most of the companies, most of these automotive brands, or most of the industry brands, packaged food industry, which are there, right? They usually just launch the teasers in the market before launching their actual product or the service, right? Why do they do it? Even in case of prototypes, if you have seen some cars which are wrapped in some blank paper, you don't get to know which car is running there, but that is onto the roads just for the testing kind of a purpose, right? That's maybe a prototyped car, that may be a car which is just before the commercial launch of it running on the roads for us, right? But then it is in both the physical and digital prototypes. Instagram handle of Tata, you see the huge advertisement of Tata Harrier, next version coming soon, just the LED light strips, right? And that is where you get hit. To create that hit, right? All the companies or all the brands, they use all these technologies, all these prototyping methods or process designing methods which are there in the market, right? Next, we go to the process designing in tech companies, Amazon, right? Most efficient process workflow designed in the industry of logistics ever is done by Amazon, right? Anyone knows Amazon's valuation as on date? How much is the valuation of Amazon? Can someone please just quickly Google it and let me know? Anyone? Valuation of Amazon, the e-commerce, world's largest e-commerce platform.
Approximately $2 trillion.
Perfect. So look at the game that Amazon has created, right? It could be in profit, it could be in losses, we don't know. But the game that it has created in the logistics segment, no one is even around it for now. No one is even there in the 10 or 15 kilometers radius of it, right? And why these games, why these companies turn the game so much intense, right? That's because the experts that they have with them and the workflow and process designing that they do for all the things that they're doing, right? Amazon optimizes its logistics and supply chain processes to ensure quick and efficient delivery, right? Same day delivery was first introduced by Amazon. Second is they use data-driven decision making to constantly improve their processes. Data of Pune region, data of Maharashtra, data of India, they segregate it like anything. And from the insights or analysis that they do from the data, all their processes or prototypes are amended, right? Likewise, we also have the national logistics policy coming up for India, maybe this year itself or in 2025, we're expecting that, which will be reducing down the logistics costs in India because of they're pretty higher now, because of which the ultimate product price is also very higher in India. So if the logistics prices are let down, then the ultimate product prices would also go down, and that's where we are boosting our economy. That will be coming in 2024 or 2025 budgets for sure. Well, coming back to the topic, so these were the two best examples that I could find for. One is prototyping and one for process designing. That's of Tesla and Amazon, right? Both are the toppest companies in their segments for now. One is into the automotive industry, and second is into the e-commerce industry, right? So what are the key differentiators for prototype design and the process design, right? Let's go parameters wise. Let's go aspects wise, right? First is the focus, right? So what is the focus in prototype designing? Creating early models of the product, right? We already discussed this. Why do we create these models? Is because we need to understand the consumer's mentality, that some such product, if we bring into the market, how are they going to respond to it, right? Always one particular product will have n number of competition in the market, but the thing that you are bringing, if it has some USPs, what are the USPs? The unique selling propositions or unique selling points, right? If you have those, pitching it to the customer becomes really easy for you. And this testing which we are having at the prototype designing part becomes easily doable to the companies and to the consumers as well, right? And that is why creating early models of a product for tasting what how the consumers are going to react to the product. In terms of process designing, what is the focus? Structuring workflows and operations, right? So more or less, if we consider, prototype is about the experience and processes is about building that experience, isn't it? Structuring workflows and operation. I am running an academic institution, right? I am at the top of the academic institution. I imagine that I want my academic institution to be in top 5 or top 10 in Indian academic scenarios in the next 10 years period or next 8 years or 5 years period, right? I design my plans accordingly, right? What kind of people I'm going to have, what all departments I'll be having, what educational courses I'll be introducing, what all industry collaborations I'll be doing. All these things are the part of structuring workflows and operations. We are designing the processes for all these departments or things that we're looking at, right? Second is the objective. So what is the objective of prototype designing? Testing and validating designing ideas, right? I have already built something. I want to go to the market. I want to get the consumer feedback on that. And the testing is the ultimate objective for the prototyping. Consumer feedback is the ultimate aim that I'm looking at. Second is optimizing efficiency and effectiveness. That's the objective of process. That's what I just talked about, right? Building the experience is the process design key element, right? And giving that experience to the consumer and getting their feedbacks is the ultimate objective of the prototype design. Third is the examples. These are very technical kind of examples. I'm not going to go into the examples tools, both for that matter. We go to the key activities. So key activities under prototype designing are sketching, modeling, and user testing, right? I have a sheet of paper. Something comes to my mind. I just design it. I just write it. I just write the workflow of it. Okay, these are the steps that I want my product to get engaged in before it gets launched or before I'm developing a prototype, right? So sketching, modeling, user testing are the prime prototype design activities. And the process design activities are analyzing, designing, implementing, and optimizing, right? Optimization plays a key role in all of these processes, analysis and optimization both. Next, we go to the outcome. What is the outcome of prototyping? It's a tangible model of a product, right? Beta testing. हम लोगों को सामने screen पे दिख रहा है, okay, this application is already there in the market. It's very much visible. It's tangible, right? Or I have a product in my hand. If I visit some university and the university is like spreaded in 30 or 40 acres kind of a area, I can't visit the university at one glance, right? So I have the prototype with me of the university landscape on which the university is built. And whenever I'm visiting that university for the first time, some representative comes to me and it just shows me that, okay, this is how it looks like. Every university or every academic institution, you will find this, right? So that's the prototype. Second is the process designing. The outcome of the process designing is a well-defined and efficient process, right? Process is a continuous thing and prototype is an end product, right? So both the things go hand in hand, as I already told, and these were some of the key differentiating factors in both the things, prototype designing and process designing, right? Next, we go to the what, how, why, and when of both these prototype designing and development, right? The aspect of development is more or less related to the consumer mentality, right? That the consumer would want it in this particular way, or the person who is going to work on that particular thing would like to have in this particular way. And that is why the consumer mentality is concerned more in the development, right? So what is the prototype design and development? Again, to the technical definition, prototype design and development involve creating an early model or a sample or a product to test and validate ideas before moving into full-scale production. Always remember, prototypes are still just the ideas unless they're verified in the market, right? Idea could be a piece of paper, idea could be a prototype which is already developed, idea could be an application which you're testing in beta phase, idea could be a user interface which you have built for the consumers, but it is still an idea until the time it is getting commercialized, right? And it is going for the full-scale production. Prototypes can range from simple sketches or mock-ups to fully functional versions of the product. That's what we just talked about, right? Range from simple sketches to functional versions, fully functional versions of the product, right? So that was the what of prototype designing and development. Now, why is prototype designing and development important, right? So first is for validation of ideas, we already talked about. Allows for the testing and validation of the concepts and ideas, ensuring that they are feasible and meet user needs, right? I just talked about the consumer-centric approach that we always have during development of the prototype or the processes for that matter, right? Now, if I'm just giving an example. Again, I'm running an organization. I'm designing the HR policy for my people who are working in my organization, right? HR policy can also be prototyped. Can we think of that? Can we think of that? So what could be the process of prototyping the HR policies? Can someone give me an example? Since that's a trending topic that we are having here at our universities, Sunita ma'am, I'm sure pretty much will be able to relate with that. So I'm just asking out of curiosity, what could be the prototyping of HR policies? Can someone please let me know? Validation of ideas in HR, human resources?
Maybe framing certain policies and asking the staff, sharing it with the staff and asking for their feedback or what they feel about it, and
Perfect.
emailing them the whole list or whatever.
Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. So at that stage as well, you are putting your ideas on the paper, you are passing that paper or a mail to the staff or to the people that you have in your team, and you're getting their feedbacks, right? That is still the prototype of HR policies or any policies of organization for that matter that we are talking about, right? So validation of those policies or validation of that prototype will come in place only when you have the feedback from the people whom you are working with, right? That's more or less concerned or directly related to the team members on which you are building, right? Second comes is the user feedback we just talked about. Again, your team members are your users only at the prototyping stage at least, and that is why the responses are mandatory. Third is the risk reduction, right? So if any policy which is controversial or any part of a product which is creating unnecessary chaos or part of a process which is creating unnecessary chaos, right? That can become a risky factor if we go ahead with that and keep that in our processes or prototypes, right? Say for example, there is a spring, a 0.1 or 0.2 spring, right, in an engine which is built for a two-wheeler, right? But that spring is not manufactured in India. We have to procure that spring from China, right? Now, due to political relations that we have, that we are sharing with China or any bordering countries for that matter, it's very difficult to procure that particular spring from that particular region of China in bulk numbers, right? So what is the other option for it? Either you go to some different country or you start manufacturing those springs within your country itself, right? So that becomes the critical decision making factor for any organization, that if you wish to reduce down the risk that is there with building any product or the process for that matter, which path you will choose, right? So what is risk reduction? Basically, it identifies the potential issues and risks early, reducing the likelihood of costly errors later in the production phase, right? आगे जाके जो चीजें हम लोगों को बहुत महंगी पड़ सकती है या फिर उससे महंगी, not in only in the sense of monetary benefits or monetary gains for that matter, right? It could be your mental pressure, it could be the physical pressure as well. But then identifying those risks earlier and then working on them in the reverse integrated way becomes way easier in terms of reducing the risk, right? And that is where the risk mitigation factor that we talked about in first few slides of prototype designing comes in place, right? Next we go to is the stakeholder engagement. Engages stakeholders by providing a tangible representation of a product, facilitating better communication and collaboration, right? That's what we just talked about. The university prototype that I have. My university is spread in across 40 acres of land. And in just one go, I just can't let all the people who are visiting my campus go around the 40 acres campus and visit that, right? So I have created a prototype. I just make them feel that they are standing at this particular point and this is how the university glance around looks like, right? So that's the stakeholder engagement. So it becomes easier for people, maybe the people who are handling the reception thing for me, it becomes easier for them as well to let people know or let them understand what this university and how it all looks like, right? It becomes very easy for them, and that is where the stakeholder engagement comes in place. Similar is the case in terms of designing the policies for the organizations, designing the processes for the organizations, designing the expert level branches for the organization. That's all about building anything that comes to your mind and all the stakeholders which are attached to it, keeping them in the loop of every single thing, right? Next is the cost efficiency, saves time and money by identifying and resolving issues before full-scale production, right? A very generic kind of a term. I need not explain much on that. Everyone looks after cost efficiency, even in individual lives. So for organization, it really becomes very obvious kind of a thing, right? Next we go to is how is the prototype designing and development done? Is this slide visible to all? Because the font size is really smaller here.
Yes, it is visible, but font is very small.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, all right. So there are roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parameters which we are going to discuss. First is defining the objectives, right? Unless we are knowing what is going to be the end product or what it is going to be looking like, right? It's just impossible for us to build the processes or build the prototypes for it, राइट मुझे अल्टीमेटली क्या चाहिए इसका स्केच और इसका एक दिमाग में आपकी इमेज रेडी है, then only it is possible. So defining the objective, the ultimate objective of anything that we are building becomes very critical, and that is why it comes as the first parameter of how to design the prototype. You must define your objectives, right? Second is the research and ideation, right? Researchers are of multiple types. The very crucial thing that I already talked about at the starting of the session itself is the research, right? It could be market research, it could be generic research, it could be technological research, it could be digital one. Multiple forms of researchers are available, right? Till a couple of decades back, we still were not very having support from the digital research kind of a thing. And now today, probably we don't have the offline research facilities, but we have lots of digital research facilities, right? You go to the library, rather than books there, you will find lots of digital journals which are already placed, and you can find a lot of information through the journals which are already there on your laptops or computers, right? So conducting a market research and gathering the insights, right? Just gathering the insights uh, doesn't make you knowledgeable, right? Or doesn't make you capable of taking some decision, right? So for decision making, analysis of those insights which you are getting from the market are extremely valuable. That's extremely important part of any research that we are doing. If we have some analyze data with us, I have suppose 40,000, 50,000 people's data with us, but I wish to come down to, I wish to see the people who have already worked with the directorial level of the technological companies which are there in the AI and ML space, artificial intelligence and machine learning space. How do I do that? I put the filters, right? And from that 50,000 number data, I can just get around 150, 200 people who have been at the directorial positions, which I'm looking at, right? And that is the crucial part, because analyzing all that 50,000 data one by one will be a very tedious process for anyone for that matter. And that is why the research tools also are there with us, which we should effectively utilize for research and ideation in prototype development. Third is the creating low fidelity prototypes. We already discussed about it. Iterating and refining, right? Again, we have already discussed this, just another part to it. So one major part to it is gathering the responses or gathering the feedbacks of the people at the early prototype designing, and gathering responses of the people after launching of the product and still introducing some new feature and getting the prototype for it, right? Are two different things, are two different sets. People have already liked the product, they have already been using it, but since I have introduced some new feature like Zomato, right? Zomato is already loved by a lot of people, but now Zomato introduced pure veg delivery, right? So pure veg fleet that they introduced got criticized a lot. They were not mandatory to do that, right? But they still introduced it as a feature. They got a lot of criticism, they got a lot of good response based on that. And all the things that they gathered, they had some deeper insights which they went for research, right? They got some amazing insights through that, and then they came up to the conclusion that okay, this particular kind of pure veg fleet that we are introducing is going to work in some areas of some cities, so let's introduce them there, right? Some localities of maybe Gujarat, some localities of Ahmedabad, some localities of Varanasi, Pune, Tamil Nadu, any state, any city for that matter, they identified that some localities are responding to it very nicely. So they introduced those veg fleets there, right? Just an example. But that is how you analyze. Zomato must be having at least a couple of billion people's data with them, right? Analyzing all that data and analyzing that consumer feedback is a very difficult part, but still they did it, right? And they came up with the amazing features that they're having, right? Likewise is the LinkedIn, spreaded across the globe, right? But LinkedIn is very less active in the Europe. Europe has its own platform named Zing, right? Most of the people are active on the Zing. But then why this differentiator? That's just like Alibaba and Amazon, Flipkart kind of a comparison. China doesn't have Amazon, right? They have their own Alibaba Express. Alibaba is a platform and Alibaba Express is a logistics support partner. So developing these products according to the consumer needs becomes a very, very crucial factor of designing any prototype or process for that matter. And that workflow, if you maintain the integrity, if you maintain the legacy of that workflow, that can take us to the long way. That's a crucial part of the success, right? Fifth is the developing high fidelity prototypes. We again discussed all these things, creating more detailed and functional prototypes using tools which are technically available in the market, ensuring the prototypes closely resemble with the final product in terms of the appearance and functionality, right? मैंने white color का prototype बना लिया, but I would like to introduce it in multiple colors in the market, right? मैं just check कर रहा हूँ कि whether people would react positively to it or not, right? And that is where the thinking process of the or the expertise of the team that which you are trusting on, that comes in place. कि इस particular team ने मेरे लिए ये particular product or service बना के तो दी है, but how do I put it in the market? You create the high fidelity prototypes and you give it to the market for testing, right? And based on that, you take the data and you analyze that. Next we go to is the user testing and feedback. Very obvious thing once building the prototypes and designing the functions is done. And last is the final adjustments, make necessary adjustment based on the user feedback, prepare for the transition to full scale production, right? So all these processes that we are talking about are a part of how this development or the designing process of the prototyping is built, right? Now next is when do we do this, right? Most of the companies, before launching any of their product or before launching any of their services or before bringing anything new into the market, they go for the market research, they go for the analysis, they go for the detections which are there in terms of positive responses or negative responses, and then they come up with something, right? So first point is early stage of product development, typically used in early stages of production development, when ideas and concepts need to be tested and validated, right? So very unique coin that I recently came across is here in India or anywhere in the world for that matter, in the startup ecosystem or in the startup development phase, we have something called as MVP, that's minimum viable product, right? Developing a minimum viable product, which is basically something based on which you can go to the market, you can get the people responding over those products or services that you have built, and you're gathering the data, right? I introduced, not I particularly, but I lot many times have experienced that and felt that minimum viable testing, MVT, than MVP is very much mandatory, right? MVP is when after building the product, right? Minimum viable product that I have already built and I'm going to the market with it. Minimum viable testing is what, while building that product itself, right? I am testing the possibilities that I am putting this particular part into this particular manufacturing, I'm putting this particular feature into this particular product. While putting that feature itself, I go to the market and I start testing it. That, okay, people, would you like to have this particular feature in this particular tablet or a mobile or a screen, right? That's minimum viable testing. Before developing the product itself, it comes as minimum viable testing phase itself, right? So the concepts and ideas that you have in your mind, there is idea-based research, there is incubation-based research, there is pre-product development-based research, there is product development-based research, there is multiple types of researches are conducted across the globe for everything. In businesses and startups, we typically used all these things just to analyze and gather the data, gather the positive data, which will basically help us build that product effectively, right? So early stage product development is when this prototype development and designing is considered as a key factor, right? Second is before major investments, right? If suppose I am a VC, right? So prototype designing and development in terms of an investment, what do we call it? Can anyone let me know? There is a term, there is a financial term to it. Can anyone let me know? Very, very interesting, generic, all known kind of a thing. Before major investments, employed before making significant investments in production to ensure the concept is viable, right? What is that done? So if suppose I am a company who is in the market to get acquired, or who is selling, I'm selling my business to someone, right? I'm in the market for that. My valuation as on date, I'm claiming is 100 CR, right? That is through my CAs or my financial team that I got through, right? And now suppose an investor who is there in the market who is going to invest 100 crores on me, he also does the similar kind of analysis from his team. What do we call it? Anyone? I'm getting some.
Prototype plan.
No. Anyone from finance background here? You did not actually. You must be knowing.
Analysis,
Pardon?
Tools.
company analysis.
Financial
Company
tools.
analysis. Yeah, company analysis is a part of that process that I'm talking about. or I'm wanting?
Are you talking about financial modeling, sir?
No, not really.
Evaluation.
Evaluation, yeah.
That's what business evaluation.
Business evaluation का और एक broader term है, which typically investment bankers or merchant bankers do for the investors.
Market value.
Financial statement analysis.
No, most of these companies, PwC, Barclays, they are known for it. Scratch your heads, scratch your heads.
That is used at the time of merger and acquisition.
Yeah, at all kinds of investments it's used.
Due diligence.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Vinayak ji. That's called due diligence, right? Before making any investments, right? Even if you are putting some money into SIP, you still study something, right? That whether me putting some money in that SIP or a mutual fund is going to give me good returns in a said period, right? What that complete process is called due diligence. You're doing due diligence of a company in which you are going to invest, right? So these terms are very known to all of us. It's just that we don't utilize them while building the companies or building the ideas or the concepts that we have, right? So that was about the major investments. Before major investments, what prototype designing and development looks like. Third is during iterative development, used throughout the iterative development processes to continuously test and refine the product, right? We already talked about it. And constant development, iterative development is constant development, right? So all these processes, so the stages that we already discussed are one is designing, one is putting them on the paper, one is getting them built, third is putting them to the customer, fourth is refining them, or fourth is refining them, and fifth is redefining them, right? So all these processes, they are just like ideation, pre-incubation, incubation, acceleration, final product launch, growth. They are very similar to the startup phases, right? So all these things, they are pretty much easily available onto the internet. My humble request to everyone, whoever wishes to study hook and nook of the startup ecosystem or the entrepreneurship for that matter, just go to the internet, write, search on Google for some good terms, get some amazing papers, research papers or articles which are already there, read them, note down some amazing points, research more on those points which attract you, which interest you, and start building something, right? It's absolutely not difficult. It's just the matter of time and efforts that we put in, right? Next course is when seeking the funding or approval, we need prototype designing and development, right? Utilizing when seeking funding or approval from stakeholders, providing a tangible representation of a product, right? Due diligence के time जब सामने वाली company मेरे सामने आती है, they just don't come up with whatever things they have done. They come up with a plan कि अगर आपने हमारी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट किया तो आज हमारी कंपनी यहाँ पे है, इन नेक्स्ट 5 years द कंपनी विल गो हियर, राइट? ये प्लान भी जब हम सामने वाले को दिखाते हैं, दैट टाइम वी आर सीकिंग देम, वी आर इंड्यूसिंग देम टू इन्वेस्ट इन अस, right? And that is where prototype is what you are making them visualize that if you put in money into that, my company or your company is going to grow till that extent. Isn't that logical? Pretty much relatable?
Yes.
Right? So all these parameters which we are discussing one by one, they make a lot of sense when we actually get into the system and start experiencing them. It is not always about just writing them onto the paper or studying them from some material which is available. It's always about putting them onto the ground as well. So what do you guys think? While making this presentation, I have directly made my points and put the presentation in place? No, it's not like that. I have researched a lot for the factors that I wanted to convey to you. I made a raw prototype of it on the paper, and then I put these points in the presentation. So the presentation that you currently are having in front of you is the ultimate product, right? The prototype was developed yesterday or 2 days back itself, and the research process was started a week back itself, right? This is how you can relate the things, whatever things you're doing, you can always relate them, right? And that is what is the crux. Your innovation instinct, your value creation instinct, your generic efforts or genuine efforts putting instinct will only come in place when you have something in your hand to show to the world that, okay, I researched on this and I did this. This is what I have come up with, right? Okay, we go to the next slide. how the process evaluation helps, right? We were talking about the financial modeling, remodeling, marketing processes set, supply chain processes set, advertising, branding, HR, legal, operations, and whatnot, right? So how the process evaluation helps us in building all these things that we have. So an example is Toyota's lean manufacturing. Can someone please know, someone please let me know what is lean manufacturing? Anyone?
It's about continuous improvement, reducing waste in manufacturing. It's not basically the waste reduction, but it's it's there, Kaizen.
Correct.
It's
I
about
agree.
continuous improvement.
Waste out of best.
Correct. Absolutely correct. So, what was the challenge in front of Toyota, right? High production costs and inefficiency in the manufacturing processes. So, high production costs, बीच में अगर आप लोगों ने एक एग्जांपल देखा होगा तो टोयोटा फॉर्च्यूनर almost was pricing around 54 to 55 lakhs in India. राइट आज की तारीख में भी उसकी प्राइस ऑलमोस्ट उतनी ही है 2-5 लाख आवा हो गई होगी बट व्हाई आर दोस प्राइसेस हाई right? Because the material that is being procured for building Toyota Fortuner here and the government taxes, right? Both combined together are making it a high production cost vehicle, right? And that was the biggest problem when Toyota came in India. They faced it that Indian people have the mentality to get best of the things in the cheapest of the possible rates. Then how to define, how to come up with the cost-effective cars? That was the major challenge in front of Toyota, right? They applied the lean manufacturing technique to it, high production costs and inefficiencies. They converted them into something wherein they reduced the powers of the cars, they reduced the material that they were procuring from outside India. They started building things here itself. They started using the material which was easily available here in the Indian market or the subcontinent market for that matter. And that is where the game started changing, right? They developed their own production system, TPS, which emphasized on continuous improvement, Kaizen, and waste reduction, lean, right? You can see the elaborative articles or studies or definitions of these definitions which are having your Kaizen, lean, TPS. You can always go to the Google, search on them and study more on them, right? So what were the best outcomes of this lean strategy that Toyota adopted? One was the reduced waste, implemented just-in-time production to minimize inventory costs, right? Inventory is a waste to automotive industry. Why so? What is an inventory basically to any automotive system in terms of money? I'm talking about. Unless it is put to use, what is inventory?
Maintain the book of records.
The raw material that sits in your store.
Yeah, correct. That I agree. Inventory is raw material. Inventory is the procured material that you have. But what is it in terms of monetary definitions, right? Unless that inventory is put to the use, what is it called? What kind of asset is called?
Depreciation.
It's a block capital.
Capital.
Blocked capital, sir.
Correct.
Earning.
Blocked capital. Blocked capital, right? Mark this term in your mind very clearly that it is not always in terms of money, right? Blocked capital is not always in terms of money. It's in terms of your efforts. It's in terms of your energies. It's in terms of your definitions. It's in terms of your thoughts, right? It is not always technical. जो चीज आपके पास नहीं है, आपको पता है आपके पास नहीं है, start looking for the options in the market. You will get n number of people who are having the expertise over that thing, right? स्टार्टअप, मुझे कोई एक चीज बिल्ड करनी है, मैं कुछ एक AI बेस्ड स्टार्टअप डेवलप करना चाहता हूं, मेरे पास कॉन्सेप्ट है बट उसके ऊपर बिल्ड कैसे करना है मुझे पता नहीं. Trust me, more than 90% of the startup founders in India, they just have the ideas, but they just don't know how to build a startup, how to build a team, how to set the operations, how to set the logistics, how to set the human resources and manpower. They just don't know it. And that is where the failure starts pulling you into the vicious loop, right? So these blocked capital or blocked assets or blocked thoughts that we have, let's start breaking them. एंड जो हमारे पास नहीं है उसके लिए लोगों के पास, मेरे पास जो कॉन्सेप्ट है नहीं, मैं किसी को बताऊंगा ही नहीं. अगर किसी ने चुरा लिया तो मैं क्या करूं भाई? सामने वाले को बताओगे नहीं तो वो बताएगा कब आपको कि आपके उसके पास ये भी है जो वो आपको दे सकता है. How would even a person get to know that you have something and he has something which he can add to you? Right? Let's not just be narrow-minded. Let's not just be a horse. Right? मार्केट में जाएंगे, एक्सपोज करेंगे, ये रिसर्च करेंगे, जो भी आइडियाज है हमारे हाथ में. या सृष्टि, raise hand.
So how about intellectual property rights then? Because people do actually plagiarize. They do take away your ideas and they start building on it.
Yeah, they absolutely do. I do agree.
So then how to safeguard yourself from that? If you share your idea with someone, right?
See,
they might help you to some extent, but they might not give you the complete scenario, or they will, before they can begin to help you, they will start out their own thing.
100%. That is been happening. Let me be blunt. Let me be clear on that. People do steal your concepts. People do steal your thoughts. That they still build the products which probably you have dreamt of some other time. But then see, it's a part of luck as well, right? If you are going to someone, say I'm not an AI expert, I'm a management expert, right? I have just a moment, Anshika, I'll get back to you. So I am building something. I'm a management expert. I have lots of startup ideas. I have my own circle of close friends where I go and discuss these ideas, and I expect them to give some technical inputs on that, right? Anyone can have such pool of close friends, which probably are the trustworthy people, most trustworthy people in your circle, right? First and foremost thing, anything that you wish to discuss with anyone, go in front of that person in person, physically sit and discuss with them. Don't discuss your ideas or your concepts never ever over the calls or the video conferences for that matter. Always go in front of that person. You will get to understand the body language of that person. You will get to understand the mindset of that person. You will get to understand the thought process that he is having behind. You will get to see his experience which is there. So in-person meets are always beneficial. So my humble suggestion will be, people will steal stealing your ideas, right? But it's always for your own benefit that you create some such circle of close friends who will guide you correctly in all the possible situations. That's the only thing that we can do, right? We don't have control over people's actions and their minds, right? We can probably read them, but we cannot control. The only way is you can have some expert in your pool who will guide you correctly, a mentor maybe, and you can just discuss the ideas with them. They will let you know how to commercialize it, or how to take it to the people in a best possible way, and then you can take them ahead, right? Okay, Anshika, we had a question from you.
Yeah, in addition to the previous question only, like whatever you explained was with the concern of the like close friends that we have. But what about the companies that previously beforehand you explained about the concept of MVP and MVT. So like if we talk about MVT, so basically it is like tend to like happen before the product launch, so that we can gather the good like review of the good or bad review of our like customers. So basically if we are launching it beforehand, so like our idea of the product and our formula is already being shared publicly. So like how are we going to take the corrective actions to avoid that plagiarism, or maybe someone else would be having better resources and he would take the spontaneous action towards it, and like he would come up with the better idea. So I hope my question is relevant.
Yeah, I got it. So I have two answers to it, right? One is write a research paper on whatever you are developing and get that ISBN number for it so that nobody's to use it. First thing. Second is, that's a very raw thought that came to my mind. And the second part is, there are not many such people, right, who had brilliant ideas, right? They got them written down somewhere. They prepared research papers, they presented the research papers and got them published in the books, the toppest of the research publication books in the world, right? But no products were developed out of those papers. Getting my point?
Yeah.
No products were developed out of those papers. Now tell me, if you have that instinct, okay, you go to the library or college library or any library for that matter, you get some research paper, you find that okay, this particular person put an idea for this particular prototype or this particular product. This person has developed that prototype as well on the paper, just on the paper, but it is still in the publication thing only. It never came on board, and you wish to work on that. What would you do?
I would just like research more about it and just incline my personal thoughts and the ideas towards it. And with the innovation ahead, I would be going forward to launch and get it copyright first of all.
Can you get it copyrighted? Is the question.
No, I think maybe it will be a problem because it is already
Exactly.
published somewhere. So like it will be a problem. Maybe I can contact with them, and if that person would agree, then I can come up with.
Exactly. So that is the answer to your question, right? You publicize it and you get it copyrighted or patented. You get that return, you get that published somewhere, make an ISBN number in your name, and you be relaxed till the next moment comes in your life that someone helps you with the production or someone helps you with the operations setting or something like that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Doable? Yeah. Any other questions?
What about signing an NDA?
How many of you know that NDA doesn't have per se any legality?
Yeah, I know. I have signed. So I'm asking.
So that's the answer. All these things, MOU, NDA, they're just for the sake of showcase, nothing else. They're just for the purpose of show off. No legality attached to it, right? Even if you break and tear that MOU the next moment you sign it, nobody's going to catch you, right? It is as loud and as clear as that. So signing all these things, NDAs, MOUs, any other non-disclosure or disclosure agreements doesn't make any sense. But yeah, all these ISBN numbers and copyrights and patents, they do help you. Now there is a group of people, there is a group of researchers who are coming up with the propositions to the UN, to the toppest of the research authorities across the globes, right? That even the ideas should be getting patented, right? Ideas, in the sense, rawest of the raw ideas should be getting patented, right? But patenting is such a process where you need to showcase something. Unless that is showcased, you cannot get it patented, right? Copyright is still a very easily available thing in Indian market, but then patenting is a bit difficult kind of a thing. That's across the globe, not only in the Indian market. But yeah, that is how it goes, like, right? So, okay, let's get back to the presentation that we are looking at. So what are the outcomes of this lean manufacturing that Toyota utilized? First was reduced waste, second was increased efficiency, and third was the improved product quality, reduced defects, leading to an increased customer satisfaction. What we talked about in the first slide, what is the ultimate objective? What is the center, epicenter of anything that we are developing? Is the customer, is the consumer, right? You put yourself in shoes of the consumer. You expect how the product would be coming to you, right? In what way, what context, what feature addition it want you to come to, and then you start building it, right? And that is where you talk about customer satisfaction, higher qualities in operations, higher qualities in the product finishing, features, everything for that matter, right? Okay, very crucial phase in the prototype development, prototype designing, and process designing, right? This is the second last slide that we have. Pivoting through processes and prototypes, right? What do you mean by pivoting? Pivoting, whatever it is. Can anyone let me know?
Making changes.
Okay, making changes.
Migrating.
Pardon?
Migrating.
Okay. Anything else?
No, like kind of a makeover.
To turn on.
Makeover. Yeah, Sahil, आप कुछ बोल रहे थे?
To turn on.
To turn on. Not really. Okay. Anything?
To pivot is like to take a 360-degree turn, like kind of.
Somehow I object this terminology of a 360-degree turn. 360-degree turn gets you to the 1-degree angle, right? So there is no difference between 360
in the sense, it's a complete turnover, a complete makeover from what you had set out to do, and now your product is looking like.
Correct. So
Maybe
it's
to
basically
adapt something and to improve by adjusting.
Redefining or rearranging something.
Absolutely.
Sir, it is just like a rotate and hinge.
Understandable. Completely relatable, right? So pivoting is basically you started with something, but meanwhile you found something even more interesting. You went ahead with that and you become successful. Kind of diversion, we can say, in non-technical term. diverging from one to another and setting up there, right? So we have a Netflix example here. Netflix is pivot from DVD rentals to streaming. So what was the prototype idea that they came up with? Was initially tested at streaming services on a small scale, gathering user feedback and refining the technology before a full rollout, right? What was the process that they had designed for? Is developing an efficient process to transition from physical DVD rentals to digital streaming platform. Physical DVD rentals, जो पुराने वाले वो कैसेट्स आते थे ना, VCR वाले, DVDs, VCRs, Netflix उसमें उतरना चाहता था. And what is Netflix today? Right? World's most famous OTT platform. Yeah. Right? So people, I mean, lot many such examples you would find there, right? The purpose, the ultimate purpose of designing the processes is identifying the gaps, correcting them. After correcting, also you are finding some errors, recorrecting them, right? Then defining them. After defining them, taking the user feedback and then again refining them, and then making a final draft of it and then putting them into the final operations. इतनी सब चीजें एक प्रोसेस डिजाइनिंग में इंक्लूडेड है. That's why I said it's 0 to 100, right? 0 के बाद में 1 लगाता हूं तो that is just 1. 0 के पहले में 1 लगाता हूं that becomes 10. ये प्रोसेसेस जो हम डिफाइन करते हैं वो इसीलिए डिफाइन करनी होती है कि मुझे जो 1 लगाना है वो 0 के बाद लगाना है, 0 के पहले लगाना है. What will add value to that 0 which my product is currently? My product is 0. I wish to make it 10 or I wish to make it 100. Where and how do I put that 1 or the additional 0? Right? So all these processes that we just talked about. So I have a couple of more examples if you guys would allow me to share another screen. Just a sec. Yeah, right? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Perfect. So some more examples for your knowledge. First is of Tata Nano, right? The Tata Nano was introduced as the world's cheapest car, aimed at making car ownership accessible to the masses in India. Pretty much relatable, right? लोग तो ऑटो में घूमते थे, टाटा ने और एक पहिया लगा दिया, 650 सीसी का इंजन लगवा दिया और काम चला, right? Prototyping कैसे किया? Tata Motors developed multiple prototypes to achieve a balance between cost, functionality and safety as well, right? Nano में उन्होंने safety करके क्या दिया था? Can anyone let me know? Since it was a smaller car, उन्होंने safety purpose के लिए what did they do in Nano? ABS वगैरह छोड़ दीजिए सब. Some very particular thing that they did there. Since it was a smaller car.
They put the engine in the backside.
Absolutely correct. Right? क्योंकि जो बोनेट दिया था वहां पे तो उन्होंने टायर स्टेपनी रखने के लिए जगह दी थी, तो इंजन कहां पे था? इंजन पीछे था, राइट? तो रेयर इंजन कार in Indian market for the first ever time, not for the first ever time but recently for the first ever time, right? It didn't fetch much of the success since the claim that they made it is the cheapest car available in the Indian market. It could still go to 3.5 lakh kind of rupees just for 650cc engine and some 48 bhp kind of a power. People did not like it. जिन लोगों ने लिया वो आज भी लोग ड्राइव करते हैं, but some, I mean, most of the people didn't like it. Now, process क्या की थी उन्होंने वहां पे? Implemented innovative manufacturing process to reduce costs, such as using a modular assembly technique and sourcing components from the low-cost suppliers. But ultimately हुआ क्या इसके बारे में? टाटा नैनो के लिए, since it was a rear engine car and low volume car, इन लोगों को altogether नई system manufacturing line खड़ी करनी पड़ी थी, which costed them in multiple crores. Right? But उतना तो नैनो का धंधा भी नहीं हुआ, so it went into the losses. तो immediately उनको बंद करनी पड़ी. 3 साल भी नहीं चली थी नैनो मार्केट में, if anyone remembers, right? So the outcome that we look at is, despite mixed commercial success, the Tata Nano remains an iconic example of frugal engineering and innovation in processes, prototype designing in the automotive industry, right? उन्होंने बहुत hype create किया मार्केट में कि cheapest car in Indian market ever, right? Cheapest family car available in the Indian market. बहुत hype create किया, बहुत prototype develop करने की कोशिश की, but ultimately it wasn't a success. Just for the time being it was, but in the long run it wasn't a success, right? Okay, let's go to the next example. Second is Flipkart. Now Flipkart, again, India's largest e-commerce platform, right? Online bookstore for expanding into wide range of product. It was earlier online bookstore करके उन्होंने चालू किया था, right? Founders initially built a simple website to test the market demand for online book purchases. They iteratively improved the platform based on the customer feedback and evolving market needs. Books से start हुआ Flipkart का सफर, आज इंडिया का लार्जेस्ट ई-कॉमर्स business is Flipkart. They developed efficient processes for inventory management, order fulfillment, and customer service. They also pioneered the cash on delivery model, which became a significant factor in their success. COD, right? Almost all of us must have used this. Next is the outcome. Flipkart's approach to continuous prototyping, process innovation helped them scale rapidly and become a dominant player in the Indian e-commerce market, right? Next we go to is the Ola cabs. Again, Ola कहाँ से शुरू हुआ था, कहाँ पे आया है, अभी भाविश अग्रवाल क्या कर रहे हैं, टू व्हीलर सेगमेंट में, ई व्हीकल सेगमेंट में ओला क्या कर रहा है, उनका आगे का प्लान क्या है, हाउ इज द क्रिटिसिज्म गोइंग ऑन, यू ऑल नो ऑल द थिंग्स, राइट? If you don't know, then go to LinkedIn or go to Google and just search for Ola founder's journey, right? Okay, next we go to is ISRO's Mars orbiter mission. Significant, very significant. Processes कैसे सेट होती है, 3-3 साल से इन चीजों की तैयारी चलती रहती है, एंड जब वो फेल हुआ पहली बार, राइट, तो सब लोगों के आंखों में जो आंसू थे, दैट डिफाइंड एवरीथिंग, राइट? ये प्रोसेस सेट करते वक्त हम कितनी जी जान लगाते हैं, हाउ मेनी इंटेंस एफर्ट्स, हाउ मेनी जेन्युइन एफर्ट्स वी पुट इन, दैट डिफाइंस योर सक्सेस, right? Or even failures for that matter. Some failures are even greater than successes. So this is what happened in case of the Mangalyaan as well. For the failure was, I guess, Chandrayaan. Sorry, Mangalyaan was still a success, right? Next is the case of Amul. The largest dairy cooperative in India transformed the dairy industry by creating a sustainable model for milk production and distribution. Amul developed prototypes for various dairy products, ensuring they met quality standards and consumer preferences. Amul designed efficient processes for milk procurement, processing, packaging, distribution. They implement. Okay, on this note, a very genuine question that always keeps coming to my mind, right? India mein, we have 1.4 billion population, right? इतने सारे पॉपुलेशन को फीड करने के लिए हमारे पास इससे कम से कम 1.5 गुना या 2 गुना ज्यादा हमारे पास केटल्स चाहिए, राइट? हमारे पास कितने केटल्स हैं आज की तारीख में मुझे पता नहीं है, बट एज लॉन्ग एज माय नॉलेज टू वट एवर फूड कंसल्टेंट्स आई हैव बीन वर्किंग विद, राइट, इंडिया में सपोज रेगुलर लाइफ में 1.5 की डिमांड रहती है मिल्क की, ठीक है, टू 1.4 बिलियन पॉपुलेशन, पर पर्सन और पर स्टेट और पर एरिया डिमांड इज 1.5, राइट, फॉर द रेगुलर यूज, राइट? ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ फेस्टिवल्स that demand goes up to 3.5 or 4, right? 1.5 से उठ के 3.5 और 4 पे जो डिमांड जाती है, are we really having real milk?
No, it is
no,
mostly
no.
pasteurized milk.
Do we ever think about it? How process optimization must be looking on the part of government as well, on the part of dairies as well, on the part of cattle providers as well. Can you guys think of how the processes are managed and manipulated as well to some extent? Right?
So soya milk also was added.
Yeah, absolutely. Lot many things are there which are added. Bhukti wala jo
And
doodh hum log
like
bolte
few
hain
of
aaj.
the milk is made by the chemical processes also, and like apart from the Indian demand also, we also supply it to the like neighboring countries, so like that is also the consumption that we have, so like
Absolutely.
that is also we have to
Absolutely.
maintain.
So these are the points which we can always ponder upon, right? And that is where ये मतलब milk तो एक part है, food industry में ऐसे कई सारी चीजें हैं, या फिर otherwise also in the clothing industry or in the shoe industry, rubber industry, there are lot many such things जहाँ पे requirement और demand is exceptionally huge, बट यहाँ पे सर्व करने के लिए उतने फैसिलिटीज या फिर उतने रिसोर्सेज अवेलेबल नहीं है, सो दे मैनेज इट फ्रॉम सम और द अदर वेयर, सम और द अदर वे, एंड देन दे प्रोवाइड इट टू अस. We just don't ponder upon these things. We should, ideally, being a responsible citizen or being a responsible person of promoter of ESG or sustainability for that matter, we should always ponder upon these things, right? Well, so that was all from my side, guys. These were the examples, and that was the presentation. I have tried my best putting all the material together and giving you some amazing insights. Well, I'm stopping the screen sharing now. Well, I would love to have you all on the cameras again. And if you have any questions, we can always discuss. Anyone?
I feel this is one of the best classes or any introduction I had to PD. I do work in PD, so though you had more examples towards the software,
Yeah.
I'm into food industry, so I had difficulty relating to it, but then I think I managed somehow. But then I loved how you have divided each stages of it, where even in some books I had difficulty understanding it.
Yeah.
I am in the industry for 12 years now,
Oh, that's
but I really loved how you explained it. And one suggestion, if somebody wants to read on the lean manufacturing,
Yeah.
it's Toyota Way. The
Yeah.
book is called Toyota Way.
Yes.
So it's an absolute
Gem of it.
amazing book if somebody wants to read it. And thank you so much for having us, and thank you so much for explaining this in detail.
Thank you.
Very,
Thank you so
very
much.
thankful.
All pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
Thank you.
100%.
Yeah, Namita, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was saying that 100% agreed with Shweta.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Any other questions?
This session was really great. Like I got to learn many things about it because I'm just the finance initial. But I got to relate many of the things from my field of operation as well. So basically, I would just like to take your opinion that what should I be doing in further process to enhance my knowledge in the field of prototyping or maybe process designing, because it is somewhere going to enhance my managerial skills. So if you could help me with that.
Yeah. So look, Anshika, there are study materials available for every successful company which is there in India today or which is there in the world today. They some or the other stage they developed the prototypes for whatever the services they are providing, right? Is सब चीजों के material is very much readily available online. You can just search for how Tata prototyped their automotive business, right? You will get the history right since they're from the 1850, 1860, 1870, whatever the age is there, right? That's just an example. Likewise, you can see again, a very important factor here is now you have ChatGPT as well. And ChatGPT 4 just from the yesterday is all free for us now. So mark my words, if you give real life commands as well to the ChatGPT, it is giving you the real information now. It's not a manipulated information just based on the Wikipedia, right? So give correct commands to the ChatGPT that, look, I want to know something about this, give me the information, and it will give the information along with the resources from where it has got that information. Now, verifying those resources is your duty, but yeah, absolutely, that's your time and your concern. How do you look at the things?
Right. Okay. I'll keep a check over it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anshika. All right. So I think we are done with the questions. I have. Okay, wonderful. So thank you so much for all that response. I hope you all loved the session. Yet again, thank you to Team SCDL and Sunita ma'am especially for having me here today. It's always an amazing experience to interact with the audience and students for that matter. And audience who responds you well, keeps you well. So thank you so much for this opportunity once again.
Great. It was such an interactive session, sir. Throughout, I think you have received the comments immediately live in the sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Ashutosh, for this enlightening presentation. I think your insights into the shades of the process of design and the development are truly invaluable. We truly appreciate the depth of knowledge and practical examples you shared, which will, I think, undoubtedly help our participants in future also in their own career too. It was actually evident that everyone was captivated by the insights you shared, and their continued participation till the end of the session speaks a volume.
Right.
The impact of your presentation. So your expertise and ability to communicate complex concepts in an accessible manner made this session, I think, valuable to all attendees. So thank you so much. And even we extend our gratitude to all participants for such a lovely participation throughout this session, for active engagement and insightful questions. I think this session has been a great success. I think till now, we have conducted many sessions for IICs, and definitely we are continuing this process till end throughout the year. So thank you all for your participation, and we look forward to you for seeing you in the next session too. So
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much. We can even have the offline sessions for this. I believe I'm more effective offline. That's a humble request.
Hello.
we'll follow it, sir, offline for sure.
Yeah. Aparna, you were saying something?
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful session. It is really, knowledgeable to get all those things in one platform. So it is really amazing. So I just have one question that can we get that PDF, which you
Yeah, sure.
shared in the beginning? How to get
Absolutely.
it?
That is already there with Sunita ma'am. I would request Sunita ma'am, if anyone needs, maybe you can just float it, or you can share my email ID as well with them. Whoever wishes to get connected, I'll be available for them 24/7.
Yeah, can you share your email ID, please?
Okay, I'll just share that here in the chat itself. Will that be okay?
Are you on LinkedIn?
Yes, I'm very much there.
With the name? With name?
With the same name, Ashutosh R Parvate.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. I have put my email ID here in the chat box. You can always refer to that. Or you can connect with me on the LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.